Item number 3, we'll move to public comment. Any individual who has public comment to something that is not already on the agenda, please step forward and state your name and share your comments. Seeing none or hearing none, we'll move on to item number 4, which is Chip, if you want to join us for consideration or consider certification of highway mileage.
Thank you. This is an annual ceremony that we go through, ritual. We certify the types of highway mileage that we have in the city because there are certain state block grants that we receive for the mileage of certain types of roads. And we actually have a few additions this year. V-Trans did a couple small measurement updates with their own system, and then we added 0.15 miles when we created Federal Street Extension.
My usual question is, can you share what class 1, 2, and 3 roads are?
Class 1 roads are those numbered state and federal routes that the city's taken over. So Route 7 down Main Street, Route 36 on Fairfield and Lake Street, Route 38 on Lower Newton. And then Class 2 roads are significant connector roads, especially roads that might connect municipalities, but in our case, it's those roads that connect numbered routes. So that would be Upper Weldon Street, Congress Street, Federal Street, for instance. Class 3 is everything else. And then there are a couple we have a smidge of mileage of the St. Albans State Highway, which is technically a lane road and actually a state route.
Great, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Chip?
Motion to approve the certification of highway mileage.
Second.
We have a motion from Tim, seconded by Eric. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the certification is approved. Chip, need signatures from everyone.
Thank you.
We'll get started on the item number 5, which is the public hearing and discussion on the update for the city plan. The planning commission and Chip, and I think regional planning assistant as well.
Yeah, city plan, a municipal plan is a statutory document, and if you want to have zoning, you have to have a municipal plan. And you need to update it every 8 years. We were well on our way to updating our city plan back in 2023. Planning Commission had started some public input, had started talking about goals and priorities. We put out our first survey. And then Act 47 and Act 181 happened in Montpelier, and we pivoted to some much needed updates to our zoning to respond to the new state statutes concerning local land use regulation and some other items. So we put the plan on pause. And we thought it would be okay to have an expired city plan for a little bit, but then we received a frantic call from the Regional Planning Commission. They were also responding to Act 181 coming out of the state. We need to update our Regional Planning Commission. We need to integrate some new land use areas that are coming out of the new state framework, adopt some housing targets and various other things. And if the city plan was expired when the regional plan was brought to the new Vermont Land Use Board, everything would come crashing down in the greater St. Albans area for the new land use designations. So we quickly got back to work with an expedited scope and schedule. NRPC devoted a couple staff to doing some of the much needed data updates and updating some of the housing portions and natural resources portions, and the Planning Commission got back to work to doing the narrative. Basically, what we started with was the 2017 plan, but we added some very important things, which are probably familiar to most folks, and those are the numbered items starting at the bottom of my memo. For instance, responding to the recent public concerns associated with petty crime and homelessness, community substance use disorder in the community. The public input part of the plan makes special note of the 2 very well-attended city council meetings and the public safety forum, and then the community supports meeting that were also held having to do with that. We put a lot in there about the housing crisis, of course, the new housing targets that we're supposed to meet. Expanded the commentary on the necessity of preserving the built form of our neighborhoods in light of some of the changes and how we can regulate the land use in these areas. Integrating the state's new framework for designated areas such as our downtown center or the planned growth area. We've gone over some of these things. And the RPC's talked about this with the city council before as well. A lot of updates on all the great strides we've made in investment and redevelopment and making special mention of other projects that are still in our sights. And then, as always, putting in any proposals for updating the city's zoning to continue to do what we're doing, be reactive to dealing with the realities of the market and continuing to preserve the look and feel of the city in the way that we want to. Now, the city plan is not really binding. It is mostly advisory, and the only real statutory connection is that our zoning is supposed to be compatible with it. There are a lot of other things we're required to put in this plan, and that's why it's so thick. We're supposed to have data and commentary on public safety, wellness, population demographics, transportation, natural areas, important scenic areas, all sorts of things. But all of that is purely advisory. And so we basically, the Planning Commission's created a plan that builds off the 2017 plan, but we think it's responsive to the needs of the day. This is the first of 2 required public hearings that the City Council has to hold. We can do the next one in February, and then the City Council is free to consider adoption of the updated plan.
Chip, is there any project that has been presented within the city limits that stopped because of Act 250 that you can think of?
No, not that I'm aware of. There might be the germ of an idea that someone had, and then when they realized Act 250 was required, they might have stopped, but no one that I'm aware of that we've actually worked with has had that happen. Typically, we do what we can to help projects through Act 250. And in recent cases, some of the major projects have been called priority housing projects because of the amount of affordable housing associated with them, and so they've been exempt.
So 181 is really not going to affect us that much, do you think? Because we really don't have the, developers aren't coming in and saying, Albans City saying, oh, wow, we're going to get some new exemptions now. Let's get to St. Albans City. I don't think we have anything here for anyone that's going to have them be saved because of 181, right? You agree with that?
You never know what's going to come down the pipe. That might be a great idea. We've been able to be really responsive to great ideas that suddenly come up over the past dozen years. And with the Tier 1B Act 250 status that the City Council requested once everything falls into place a couple months ago, we will have Act 250 exemption for housing projects of up to 50 units and some other things. We do have the option, after this plan's adopted and after the regional plan's approved by the state, we'll have the option to consider Tier 1A Act 250 exemption. And there are some steps we'll have to take, but we'll have some time to consider whether or not we want to take advantage of the ability to be fully exempt from Act 250. I think there's some benefits to it, because part of the whole conversation about Act 250 over the past few years in the legislature is that it's a good law and it does what it was supposed to do, but it's redundant. And if you can eliminate a regulatory process and a source of uncertainty and time from a development project, you're benefiting that development project. So I think it's something the city should seriously consider. The city plan basically says, let's look at it seriously. If we want to pursue it, let's emulate anything in Act 250 that we like, that our zoning doesn't do now, but now we will do if we want to be exempt from Act 250, and let's consider whether or not we want to do it, but it's not setting us down a binding path to be exempt from Act 250. Sets up a conversation.
Biggest project affected by Act 250 is our own Federal Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be nice if we didn't have to do that, I'll tell you that right now.
Mine would have to deal with it, right? During their expansion, mine would have to deal with 250.
That's industrial. I mean, this is, A181 is supposed to be really earmarked for residential, right? I mean, all of us who know the city, we're looking at it. I mean, everyone saw the proposal of the boardwalk in the paper the other day. I mean, we're never have to worry about that. We don't have the land for that. We don't have the area for that.
Yeah, some of our projects would or could get caught in it. You know, like Fonda would get caught in it if it didn't have as much affordable housing. Bellevue potentially, you know, we had to redesign Congress and Maine so that we stayed below thresholds, so.
Set by Act 250.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Chip, I just wanted to commend you on the list of accomplishments that you pulled together over the years. I thought that was excellent.
Thank you.
Do you have other, and I know we have the stormwater projects in here, but are there others that are coming down the pipe that?
One of the goals one of the objectives, I think it's in the economy chapter, specifically mentions the Bellevue project, the Messenger Building, 100 and 120 Federal Street, and then some other projects that the city might get involved in, like the old railroad headquarters. And the 2017 plan did the same thing. We knew some of the things we wanted to do, some of the properties that we wanted to develop, so it named those, and we've done them, which is great. So it does, like you said, it does include the stormwater projects. It makes special mention of the Federal Street project, some of the redevelopment projects I just mentioned, including maybe someday linking up with the town on that shared use path or sidewalk idea up on North Main Street, you know, all the way to exit 20, the extension of the rail trail, projects like that.
My only other comment was, in terms of the list of stakeholders that you met with, not you, but I thought it was heavy on the social services side. Tim's Health, Martha's Kitchen, United Way, and I thought it would have been nice to reach out to Mylan and DFA from the industrial side as to what we don't know. I don't think we know what their concerns might be.
I think DFA would be happy to hear from you.
Yeah, sure, again, no. But, and I don't know if it's too late to reach out to those. Might be interesting, whether it's pedestrians, truck traffic, whatever the case might be. I think it'd be nice to, and then I did see where you reached out to the downtown board. Senior center came to mind, and probably the chamber. Those are, I don't know if it's too late or not.
We can look into that. I'd have to look back to, you know, I sent a couple messages out with some of our stakeholder questions to a lot of groups. They didn't all respond.
Yeah, no, I saw what you did. Any other questions for Chip?
I just said, why is it some of the items that we already done marked as proposed, like historic downtown? They're marked as proposed as like historic downtown in the list of things accomplished or going to be accomplished. I was wondering why it's still listed as proposed versus
What page you looking at?
98.
Oh, that is a proposed new land use district that would be called historic downtown.
Gotcha. And part of that is also the reduction of Fairfield as part of the downtown space, because I saw that too, like Fairfield from about the hospital all the way down has a hashing to remove it from the plan, right?
That would be potentially adding it as a design review. Well, there are a couple of things. One is to look at creating land use districts specific to Lake Street and Fairfield Street as gateways into the city. There's a lot of attention to Main Street going north and south, but not as much to Fairfield and Lake. And then so they are noted in both the proposed land use map and the design review district map to have discussions on that topic.
That's all I have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your acknowledgement of Church Street as well, the churches and the future status of those moving forward. So
So if we do the Federal Street corridor, would that all become design review district?
No,
No.
probably not. In fact, they're included in this plan is a suggestion that we have a conversation about portions of Federal Street that right now are in a design review district, but only one side of the street is, and does that make sense? But yeah, the Federal Street, not really, the whole corridor is not slated to have a discussion about whether or not it should be a design review, but it always could be. So, and then that's another thing, that we had to do this big 8-year update for the city plan. If there are other little ideas that we have in the meantime, like later this year, where we want to make a change in the zoning, it's really not mentioned in the plan, and we think it should get into the plan, we can make an amendment, and it would be a much simpler process in between those 8-year required readoptions.
Any questions or comments? So first reading, we'll be back in February, Chip? Right, no one else?
I'll say this at home, so you don't have to reprint this.
I'll read the whole thing by then.
Okay,
Be ready.
me too.
I'm interested in it. Still have time to read the whole of it.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
All right, we'll move on to number 6, first reading of updates for Taylor Park rules. A conversation that's been going on since last summer. So thank you for moving that forward, Dom and Chip.
Yeah, and the Public Safety Committee and the City Council came up with some ideas of what they think the rules in Taylor Park ought to be right now, given the current situation, and we had some nice signs made with those rules, and now we're sort of backing them up by making the required changes to our ordinances. So in the memo, there's a little table of some of the things you see on the sign, and then where we made some adjustments in the ordinance. And if you just stay on that, the park hours is included in a proposal for section 3918, and then the same thing with the 2-hour daily limit. Prohibiting bikes, scooters, and skateboards, or riding them, actively riding them, prohibiting that is proposed for section 3909. Smoking is already prohibited, but we added vaping and e-cigarettes to section 3920. Camping without a permit is now created with a new section 3921. And unleashed dogs is actually already prohibited in the ordinances, so we can change everything there.
So if I want to go into Taylor Park and sit down and enjoy the park and the traffic and people watch, I can't be there for any more than 2 hours without getting a permit from the city manager?
That's what the sign says.
I think you're gonna have a tough time doing that and not letting people go on there constitutionally.
It's a rule that possibly could be used to diffuse certain situations, but otherwise, I don't think it's something we're gonna be actively enforcing.
We did go around.
Dan, if I see you in the park for more than 2 hours, you better have a permit on you.
I'll be looking to you, Tim. We did talk about this a lot with the Public Safety Committee and the City Hall staff, because we felt like it doesn't feel great to do that. But then I talked to the gentlemen that were doing the Parks Patrol and the enforcement this summer, and they found it very helpful to have clear guidelines so that they could move people along who needed to be moved along.
I mean, Tim, what's the difference constitutionally by
Well-
saying you can't be here between time A and time
Do
B?
you remember the group of people that were picketing a while back? Are they still doing that on Saturday mornings and stuff like that? So what, do they have to get a permit?
I think only for an hour.
Yeah, you're allowed to picket, you're allowed to do that stuff, it's a constitutionally protected right.
But there are cities that require permitting to do assemblies like that.
So just to set the table a little bit, the council already approved these, they approved the signs. And that's why we made the signs. this is a housekeeping bill to align our ordinances with our signs. So if we decide that we got it wrong, we're literally making new signs. And we did this, you know, when I put the Adirondack chairs out there and it became an encampment. And when folks were not taking a very long lunch break, but were there all day and owned the park.
I understand. I mean, and I'm not objecting to anything, I'm just saying, are you prepared?
Yeah, absolutely, you know, I mean, the navigating the alignment between individual liberty, the Constitution, and social order is the challenge of our time.
We talked too about how when people maybe are in the gazebo all day long, maybe I want to go with my niece and nephew and have lunch in the gazebo, but when a huge group of people are in there all day long in the gazebo, then I can't use it. So it's about learning how to share spaces and
2 hours is a long time.
yeah.
I think I might have saw a couple of weddings.
Weddings
last
also
year,
commission?
wedding pictures being taken on the gazebo, and stuff like that, and that seemed to last more than 2 hours.
You could get a permit, right?
I don't think these people have permits.
No, I'm saying,
Oh, but
but
they
the
have to get
option
permit
they
now,
would get.
right?
I don't think they, yeah, I don't think an average, because I've done over 200 weddings as a photographer, and we
That's a
don't
long
get more
time.
than 45 minutes most of the time for
Boy,
those kind of
I
things.
don't know about that at all, because there's a lot of weddings that I go to, and where is everybody? Oh, there's still a photographer,
45 minutes.
so probably not you.
That was Leonard Parent.
The Parks Patrol people found this very helpful,
Yeah.
to have very clear rules and guidelines. And I'm assuming we will be able to have enforcement of these rules with the Parks Patrol again this summer.
Yeah, 100%, that's why the signs are there.
I think just like all law enforcement is a little common sense.
Right.
Rule can be changed.
Started to bring that up.
It did work last summer. The rules were in place last summer as well.
The question that's always come up for years has been, so can someone still walk through the park at 11 o'clock at night?
I think so, to pass through.
Or 5:30 in the morning, or 5:30 in the morning, whatever time people take
Sure.
off.
Just passing
The
through.
answer used to be no.
Did it?
There was, when I was working the bars, the cops would get upset if you were cut through the park.
Huh. See, I would think that would be okay, and I
Me too.
also think if
You
you
could
have.
walk around the sidewalk.
Yeah. Common sense, right? Like if you have a 2-year-old on a little push bike, you're not gonna give them a hard time for that. But if someone's ripping through the park on their motorized bicycle, then that's a different story.
There's an ordinance against that anyway, right? They should be doing that.
Right, but I'm just saying,
Yes.
yeah.
All of
That's
these,
common sense, yeah.
I mean, there's some discretion inevitably that you have.
Mhm.
And
The park did feel a lot better for many people last summer.
Once we got rid of that around there.
those are in the same bucket as Quiet Your Ride, I think.
Oh,
Ideas before their time.
let's go put those in front of Tim's house.
Yeah,
You're right.
Those signs stacked up on those chairs down there.
All right, Chip, so we'll see you next month for second reading on that.
Yep.
Thank you. We have considered board appointments. 3 different boards, beginning with Planning Commission.
Yes, we have 2 expiring members on the Planning Commission, and one of them would like to return. Jan Appel, who is joining us tonight. The other, Denise Smith, has bid her fond farewell, moving on to other time commitments.
Typical Smith.
I think we gotta keep an eye on
A mass exodus of this.
Rubley Street, make sure they're not like packing up to leave the community or something like that.
Well, I would make a motion to approve Jan for the Planning Commission. And that's a full 3-year term.
3 years, yeah.
Second.
Second by Chad.
And that's expiring December 31st, 2028?
Yes. Any questions, comments?
Thanks, Jan.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm gonna vote for Jan on this, and I'm gonna vote no on everyone else, because Jan's the one that showed up. Jan, thank you for your time and your commitment to the city, we appreciate it. All those in favor of appointing Jan, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, Jan. Moving on to Downtown Board, we have Jen DiNatale, Cody Hooper Kaufman, Bobby Powell, and Jeremy Reed, and Shannon Smith, all for reappointments. Are they all current board members? Chip?
Not
Jeremy and Shannon would be returning, and then
Mhm.
Jennifer, Cody, and Bobby are new, and they all had their meetings with city council members.
So whoever did the interviews, and we would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead.
Motion to accept all 5 candidates to the positions on the downtown board.
Second.
Do we need to distinguish, are they all on the same?
We will be okay with them all expiring in 28.
Right, we have a motion by Eric, second by Trudy. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we've appointed the 5 to the downtown board, and then the last one is police advisory, Marcus Niebar. I'm not sure who did that interview, or was it a reappointment?
He's returning. Yeah.
Anyone like to make
I'll make a motion to reappoint Marcus Niebar for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028.
Second.
Thank you, Trudy, thank you, Tim. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of reappointing Marcus, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, Marcus is appointed to the police advisory. We will move on to city budget development. We set aside 10 minutes for this.
All right, I better talk fast.
Sarah, thanks for joining us. Everyone has a
Be here.
budget packet.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
When Tom and I put this budget together this year, our primary goal was cost stability, coupled with continuing the focus that we saw last year on public safety. We managed to do these 2 things and catch up on deferred capital contributions, all within a 2.2% increase to the tax levy. This is about a full percentage point lower than current inflation, which was 3.1% at the end of November.
Who's Tom?
Dom,
Oh, Dom.
this,
That's you. I heard Tom. I'm thinking,
No.
found out his name and now you're.
I thought Tom Lights came back to help you.
No.
All right, now I'm good, Sarah.
all right, good, now that you know that's not my imaginary friend. Post reappraisal, the average residential property in the city is assessed at $340,000, and a 2.2% change to the tax levy would result in a $50 increase in taxes next year. That's not $50 a quarter, that's $50 for the full 12 months. We've been able to maintain this stability by realizing almost 12% increase in our non-tax revenues for fiscal year 2027. This has been in part due to the continuation of a domestic violence grant in the police department that we had previously thought was sunsetting. We're very pleased and grateful to our partners at CBOEO for getting this application together and getting it across the finish line so we can continue to realize revenues that offset our operational costs in the police department. We also have some changes to charges for services. Part of this is the town contribution to the police department budget, an increased demand of summer camps and after-school camps, and our dispatch contracts. On the expenditure side, we have converted 1 full-time position to a part-time position, realizing some savings in the recreation department, and we were able to reallocate the FY26 professional services funds from the reappraisal across the budget. Those are the high-level cost drivers in the current year budget. Moving on to my memo, I'd like to talk specifically about what we're doing with capital in FY27, as this is one of the larger components of the budget. I should mention the largest component is salaries and benefits. As a primarily service-oriented organization, wages and benefits make up 57% of the total budget. And capital comes in fourth place at 6%. In FY27, we're proposing $844,000 in capital spending. This is up from 26. If you recall, we deferred some large items last year to make room for the expansions and the work we were doing in public safety. In FY27, we intend to continue our annual replacement of the self-contained breathing apparatus in the fire department. This has been level funded. In the police department, we're proposing one marked and one unmarked car for purchase. This would be debt funded. And we'll continue to replace our undercover vehicles using a leasing program with a local dealership for about $10,000. We are hoping to rehabilitate the ECOC up at the radar base for a cost of $115,000, which we would also fund with the debt issuance. We're level funding our annual paving program at $300,000. We've been at this level for the last couple of years, and it seems to be sufficient to cover our needs. We are proposing to replace a 2012 Ford F-550 plow truck. We had proposed this last year, but it got deferred to keep costs a little bit down last year. So this is back on the list, and we're hoping to replace it in 27, and we would fund this with a debt issuance as well. Because this truck is in the Public Works Department, the debt would be serviced by our three major funds, the General Fund, the Water Fund, and the Wastewater Fund. So the debt would be issued in the General Fund, but serviced across the board. Public Works is also proposing to replace their oldest commercial lawnmower at a cost of $15,000. And to do a feasibility study down at the Public Works facility for $10,000. We earmarked $35,000 in this upcoming budget to start working on some projects over at the Weldon Theater. We haven't exactly identified those yet, but we've been in talks with Kelly and Tim in Recreation about what the Weldon could be and how do we best manage that transition in the coming years. And lastly, we have some upgrades to the lights in the city auditorium for $5,000. Strongly correlated with capital projects is debt issuances. I noted along the way that our proposed debt items are for police vehicles, the ECOC upgrade, the F-550, and the only other new debt item on this is that the city would pay for the debt on the Greg Brown Lodge. All other debt items continue as planned, and I don't think any are falling off this year. Other major cost drivers in the budget are costs for programs and events. We've seen an increase in scope and associated funding at the Restorative Justice Center. This is driving some of our cost increases, but has 100% offset with non-tax revenues. The RGC has a grant that is going to allow them to expand program offerings and hire a new position in the coming year. We're very pleased to have that. We also have an expansion in the cost of programming events and recreation as demand for day camp and concessions continue to climb. I noted earlier when talking about our major cost drivers allowing us to keep this budget stable, but notably professional services is down by about $134,000. We had budgeted funds in the last two budgets for the reappraisal. That's over now, and so those costs have been redistributed elsewhere throughout the budget. At this point, that concludes my general budget overview. I'd be happy to hand it over to the Finance Committee and then take questions and jump into detail if you wish. Sound good to you, Tim?
Yeah.
All right.
We were presented this budget last week and reviewed the proposals presented by staff. And to me, 2.2, I don't know how you take a deep dive into a budget at 2.2%, given the current status with public safety. So we put in a percentage for that, and I think that Sarah and Don put together a good budget for the city. Eric?
I was going to say that I think the fiscally responsible budget, especially with what's going on with education and the unsureness of what we're going to get out of that, for the city to come in at a much lower amount and help our constituents, I think it's important. I think that like the fact that we're being conservative and we're not having to consolidate open positions to be able to accomplish a lot of what we're doing is important to note too. And I agree, the Weldon it's an asset that could become as important as a pool and hard act to us, and I think it's good to invest in. So,
Chad?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially when you put it, it's almost a point below inflation. That's pretty powerful. You guys did a good job. And I think to mimic Eric, something that I've been kind of talking about is that having programs like the Weldon, having a theater, having recreational departments is, important for standard of living just as much as public safety. And so to keep those covered in the budget, along with public safety, you come in at 2.2 is pretty impressive.
Different perspective now that you have a child on.
I never knew how many programs we had in town.
No, it makes a difference.
One of the additions to the budget this year for us is we now have depicted in front of us what the budget was and what the actuals were for the last 4 years. And we can see how close they are. The budget's pretty nimble. Unlike other towns, I think I've said this before, the city manager puts together a budget and the city approves it, and we pretty much leave it in his hands and that of the staff to redirect if there's an overage or assist if there's an underage. So I'll say it again. I'm surprised at 2.2. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was going to be more than that, and I'm pretty conservative.
That holds reserves intact too. There's some communities around that, to get a low number, we're starting to dig into reserves,
Right.
and we have to do that.
The paving budget, I'm glad we're keeping that. As always, I'm disappointed in the mayor's portion of this. I tried to get that taken out, but
I agree with you.
I'm waiting for the new mayor to come in so we can put it back up to 20 the way I usually anticipated it to be, but
Everyone thinks it's a paid position anyway, so.
I just want to reinforce that there's still another aspect. We still don't know what education's going to be.
That's true.
And we're talking our port. This is what we can control. So when I don't want to deceive people, they might get a 2.2, and depending what the school comes forward with, maybe more than what was anticipated. So we can only, and we've harped on this for decades, we can only handle what we can handle on the city portion. The education piece is out of our control. I understand it may come in fairly low for the city compared to the town. Time will tell, but keep in mind, this is just the city portion that we can control. It's not the education piece included in this.
Correct.
I think the Maple Run was looking at, it was in the 4s, wasn't it, Eric? I see you have it up there.
Yeah.
It was,
2.4.
Yeah,
what was it?
Yeah.
It was pretty
Yeah.
low
Yeah.
for Maple Run, their budget increase, but the city was supposed to see a 10-cent decrease versus town and Fairfield were going to see an increase. Usually we see the increase. So I wonder, is that due to the appraisal?
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's great news.
Winooski had a similar, they just got reappraised not too long ago, and they had the same things around 3.4 or something like that. But then Milton is 12.5 they're looking at. They're trying to get it down to 9. So we're fortunate here.
Yeah.
Where's the CLA at?
I think it came back at 8, and they got reappraised 3 years ago. Yeah, they sunk fast.
I know the fire department had some stuff in here. Is there talk about like the future of the fire department? The building is, I'm not saying I wanna increase the 2.2, but is that on the radar for the future at some point?
Yeah.
Because we have a great fire department and a building that doesn't look so great.
100%,
Okay.
I agree.
Sarah, I didn't ask this of you at the budget hearing, but I should have. Where did we end up with after the reappraisal? Where are we at? Are we at 98% now, or where do you think we're sitting at right now?
The CLA.
Yeah.
We just got our latest CLA and it was what, 99 point something?
Our CLA now is 101 point something.
Now, we're not state mandated to be at 100%. We can find ourselves anywhere between 85 and 100%, can't we? We don't have to be at 101%.
They tell us where we are.
Yeah, they tell us where we are based on what our grand list is. Grand
Yeah.
list is compared to the last 3 years of sales, and since we just reappraised,
Yeah.
we're up at 100 or above.
So
Is that
But to your point, we don't have to be forced into another
yeah.
reappraisal until it gets below
85.
85.
There's a
We
time
might
limit
wanna
on
do
that
it
too.
early.
Yeah, there's now a 6-year time limit.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Yeah.
changed it?
Right,
Yeah.
until we don't get into the same situation we were
Yeah,
before.
I mean, I think there was just a lot of pent-up demand that was unleashed in a reappraisal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we really didn't go hard with a reappraisal
Mhm.
back in 2011, so
Yeah.
this one was a shocker.
And
Yeah.
when we do another reappraisal, now that a lot of people are going back to work, that could shift the commercial and
Good.
residential again, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be probably 4 or 5 years out, you know.
Right.
Who knows what the world's gonna look. I mean, I'm expecting big things from the new mayor. And so, you know, what's gonna be going on in 4 or 5 years?
10, 11?
Oh.
10, 11?
Yeah.
I know what's not gonna be going up, and that's the mayor's budget.
I'm gonna play myself to the finance committee.
You can't do that.
I know, just kidding.
Minor detail, but we still have trees in our budget.
They're in the stormwater budget.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
I have a question that comes out every year now, but the 300,000 for paving, 100% support. But what does that equate to as far as how many miles is that now with the current rates we're at, and how many miles can we do per year as far as like how many years can we go before we have to redo the oldest road? Do you know?
We're usually about a 10-year cycle,
Okay.
rotating through. Mileage really depends on like Lakeview Terrace we did last year was a wide road, so.
The 300,000 will get us on.
Yeah,
keep us on par with
we're in
that.
good shape. We may end up, like Congress Street is a class 2 road, it needs it, but the state has yet to recognize the need.
Gotcha.
So we may end up having to do something on the class 2s. We did class 2 on Weldon 3 years ago on the top portion that we didn't ever get reimbursed for our portion. So Main Street is a class 1. That's 100% the state, but North Main is in pretty rough shape. Lake Street has some areas that we may end up having to, we talked about it internally about maybe touching those areas up as part of our paving budget, not doing the entire road, but doing a 4-foot strip down through there, so. All in all, our streets are in pretty good shape,
It's
so,
really the case enough to consider those.
yes. Yeah.
Is there a reason that the state is not taking care of the roads that they're responsible for in the city?
It's the same thing, funds, they're spreading them out throughout the state, trying to stretch their dollars as far as they can go, so. Unfortunately, on the class 2, we've had discussions with our legislative reps. I think the piece that is missing in the formula is an actual visual inspection of the road. When we applied for Congress Street 2 years ago, the town applied at the same time. The town received their class 2 for their portion of Congress. We didn't receive ours. The town went back to the state and said, well, it really doesn't need it. Can we use those funds somewhere else? And they said yes. So.
Even with sending pictures, video?
They actually came and looked. We brought reps from the district here to look at it, and they said that doesn't bear at all in the decision?
The grant program is based only on mileage in your community. When we asked them about considering traffic counts or regional importance, they didn't want to budge. So we're actually looking at the ability to reclassify some of our streets as Class 2 to increase our Class 2 mileage, to make us just even a little bit more competitive at these grants. We're going to apply one more time this year and see if we get funded.
So the walkability that we have in the city impacts that, correct?
No, it's really just pure mileage, and because the city is so small in space, we have less
Not a
Class 2
lot,
mileage
okay.
than any other.
It's a rural program.
Yeah, right, there it is.
We don't annually get a payment or stipend?
But we get that.
Okay.
We get that.
I just thought that's a
But-
lot, I messed up here.
But we are hesitant to spend our general funds on a street that any given year, the state might give us a grant for, and that's why we've been holding off on Congress Street. But as Marty said, we might not be able to hold off any longer if they still keep not funding it.
Class 2 is competitive, state aid for town highways is formulaic. That's why we have to do that every year, but
I don't know how long you've been on, Lindsay, but welcome. Marty, going back to the paving, Rubley's still on, right?
If we can get it done before the election,
Yeah, okay.
which we're hoping winter hangs on a little longer this year.
Thank you for that.
Can't be, that's in Ward 1.
Isn't Rubley paved every year?
So far.
So far it has, for the last
Okay.
8 years.
I knew this has been a running joke for my time on.
Yeah, that's the
I'm just looking forward to Smith being paid.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I'd like to make a motion
Hasn't
to
been paid
accept the
since
city budget
2012.
as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the budget as presented. Thank you, Sarah, for that work.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions for Sarah?
Thanks, Finance Committee.
Finance is good. So based on the recommendation of Finance, we have a motion on the floor to accept the budget. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Lindsay, you're good? Thumbs up?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. So, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
So there was no public comment on the budget. How else will we present this? How will we get the word out?
there'll be a public hearing before,
Yep.
and typically we do an article in the paper, not Josh, but I do sort of a piece outlining what's in it and the priorities.
Can you put a blurb on the St. Albans City Facebook page, or is that?
And it goes out in a little booklet that gets mailed to everybody with a one-page summary and then a one-page narrative.
Starting January 15th, we will have our new monthly newsletter, and so the February issue is an opportunity to address the city budget.
Perfect.
That would be in English.
It will be in English.
Keeping it simple.
All right,
As
Sarah,
well
thank
as
you.
other languages, of course.
What's that? All right. Moving on to item number 9, consideration of the bond of the refurbishment of the existing, or the old
You,
water tower.
all right, you.
Glad to see I brought a crowd in tonight.
We
So
don't usually get you out of the back row, Mark.
I left the inspection report.
State your name, please.
Martin Manahan, City of St. Albans. So as most of you are aware, we're required by the state of Vermont to have a redundancy water supply available. Right now, Fairfax is producing about 850,000 gallons a day, where Macquam is producing about 200,000. So our system is using a little over 1 million gallons a day of water. In order to meet that requirement, we built the precast tank in '23 at the cost of $2.6 million. And as part of that requirement, we have to rehab our original tank. This tank was built in 1953 and has never been taken offline intentionally. The only time it's ever come down is when we've had a leak and the tank is drained. In order to inspect it, previous to this inspection that we had in March, we had to have the interior of the tank, we had to have a diver come in and actually go in underwater with his equipment to inspect the tank. So we completed an inspection in 2023 and did some immediate work as a result of that inspection. The stair ladder on the side of the tank and the hatch at the top. The remaining scope of work as a result of the inspection is what we're looking at getting done. The not to exceed price is 1.6 million. As you look through the inspection report, the work includes, but it's not limited to, a complete sandblast of the interior and exterior of the tank. It'll include containment around the exterior of the tank to capture any paint that may contain lead. They'll spot weld all the areas that have a reduction of 35% of the original thickness, which currently there's about 300 different sections that they've identified. Anything less than 25% will have 100% solid epoxy installed, plating and sectional replacement of the wall, and linear welding along the roof support, which is about 200 feet. They'll replace the shell drain system, seal the concrete foundation, seal the base of the foundation, install a tank mixing system. Right now our new tank has a mixing system that rotates the water through the system. Our old tank doesn't have that, so that water just sits there until it drains out. They'll install a second OSHA required access door 180 degrees away from the existing door, install a new OSHA compliant handrail on each side of the access ladder, as well as a handrail on the top panel, access panel, and adhere a new high performance coating system on the interior and exterior of the tank. It's important to mention that the shell of this surfaces appear to be in very good structural condition for the year of the tank. The roof support structure is exhibiting extensive coating failure, which stands to reason that's the top of the tank that probably gets the most of the weather. 85% of the roof surface and 50% of the roof supporting trusses have to be recoated and replanted. So renovation cost shouldn't exceed 1.6 million for the total of the project, which includes construction, contingency, engineering, permitting, and all the other related costs, while utilizing the drinking water state revolving fund. There will be other costs involved that you have to navigate: the Davis-Bacon wage rates, the American Iron and Steel, and the Build America, Buy America, which shouldn't be a lot because it's not a total rebuild of the tank, it's just the materials. Right now, we're fortunate as part of our asset management plan that we've done, and the rates that we have for our water rates, we qualify for some pretty good subsidizing through that water fund. It's a 50% forgiveness and a 0% loan on the remaining, so Sarah can speak to that as well.
I don't have much to add. This is an ideal time to pursue this project. The 1.6 million is eligible for 50% forgiveness, as Marty said, and the balance of $800,000 would be repaid over 40 years at 0% interest. It's a 0.67% change on the water ratepayer budget, looking ahead to the budget. And we're eligible for this because of the work we've done with the asset management plan and because of milestones we've already hit in this project. The next milestone is to have a bond vote on it, and that's why we're bringing it to you tonight. If we don't continue along the lines of these milestones, if we don't meet the next one, I can't say that we would be eligible for that subsidy the next time around.
So we have to do this. So for people, like, this is required as part of the, we did a new tank, we have to replace this and fix this.
Right, part of that redundancy included the capacity of this tank,
How much was it to do the new tank?
2.6 million.
So it's, oh, wow, okay.
Well, this is $1 million plus. If we were to replace this tank, the 1.6 doesn't include demolition or anything like that in site work. So that 2.6 today would probably be about 3.3.
Marty, when the new tank was built, I thought there was some discussion about parts of this would be disassembled and refurbed, and that's not gonna...
Not this tank, there wasn't any discussion.
And then what am I looking at here? It looks like a...
That's the drain. So that's the overflow. You see the overflow pipe that comes down the side
Yeah.
of the tank? That's the drain at the bottom.
And that's off the ground? Is that
Yeah.
what-
It's about 20 inches off the ground. Part of this rehab would be putting in a concrete spillway there. Just we've never used it, so if you had to use it today, it would probably erode that ground cover there. When we drained the tank, in order for them to inspect it, we drained it. We hooked a hose up to that and just put it into the catch basin.
Has it gone out to bid?
Yeah, well, the number we have is based on this inspection.
Right.
So once we do this, we will do a engineer qualified report for engineers to bid on it, and then they would bid on it based on this inspection. And these guys would probably bid on it as well, which would be a different company than built the tank. The new one, not this one in 19.
Do you have enough room on site?
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't have to-
We've got a nice parking area off to the side that they can use as a staging area.
Any questions for Marty? I think this just adds to the infrastructure we've done over the years. I think as a community, I think our infrastructure is strong between water, wastewater, stormwater. So I think as a community, we tend to sit pretty good, I think.
Yeah, it's just one of those necessary evils, you have to have it, so. Gotta maintain it.
So, consideration of, we don't need a vote on this, move forward.
Unless there's objection, I'm not hearing any, we'll embed this within the morning, and then we'll make arrangements to gather probably virtually and sign the warning later in the month.
Do we need to meet to sign the budget warning before February?
That's, so we need to get signatures.
Oh,
And so, typically we do it virtually, but we could do it in person meeting. Usually we'll just get on a call, approve it, and then folks will swing in and sign the warning.
No other questions? Thank you, Marty. Appreciate it. Sarah, thank you very much. That was item number 9. Moving to the mayor's report. Marty, I haven't been down. I was gonna drive down before the meeting, when I didn't make it. Lemna Drive. There was the retention pond that froze up or overflowed. Is that-
No, not since they put in the other structure and stuff, it's froze up, but that would.
Someone said the water is flowing over the road.
There were some pictures online from that.
Recently?
Yeah, a couple weeks back.
Well,
It happened like just after, as they were finishing up, as they were waiting for the structure. But we haven't had it overflow. That last storm that we had where Lower Weldon overflowed, that didn't.
Oh,
Let it not do.
I didn't
Lower, Weldon did.
Yeah.
That's the one I saw pictures on, is Lower Weldon.
I'll follow up on that. I thought someone said Lemna Drive.
No, it is froze.
but-
It is froze.
And then, once again, trees. Are you gonna replant trees at Public Works from all the ash you had to cut
They
down?
planted, I think 4
They did.
in the late fall, yeah.
Park looks great. The events went well over the holidays, so, from what Trudy said, I'm responsible for no fireworks, so I'll take,
Well, that's what someone on Facebook
Yeah.
said, so it has to be true.
I'll take blame for that. So, Mr. Hawkins, what do you have?
Nothing. I'm good. I think that's a tough way to go, preparing those roads. It's a lot of stuff going on with that this year.
Yeah, 100%.
Noticeable, 100% noticeable. But yeah, I think you're keeping up with it. But I know that cold patch doesn't work worth following.
First time you found.
Yeah, yeah.
But your conditions have not been freezing rain, cold, I mean, a lot of ice.
Right.
I hope people don't expect that everything's gonna be perfect, considering everything that 2 inches
We
of
had a
snow,
long
3 inches.
stretch where the guys came in every day from the beginning of December through New Year's Day to either salt or sand or plow or every weekend, the holiday.
Yep.
So,
If anyone thinks our roads are bad, they should take a trip to Burlington,
We should just drive in front of Burger King.
going down Williston Road or Shelburne Road. Roads are just bad, not because they're tore up, just because they're all potholed, heaving and everything else is absolutely terrible.
Trudy, what do you have?
Well, I've been out gathering signatures, so I have a few things. You remembered.
Signatures for,
The mayor
oh, you're
campaign.
running for mayor?
Yes, I am.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. Congratulations on your retirement. Yeah. The lilacs on Driscoll Drive, Marty. Remember that whole, there used to be beautiful lilacs lining the street and they smelled really nice. Is there any way or is there any plan to get some big lilacs replanted in that space?
no,
And what's the reason, so I can pass that along?
there isn't. I mean, I've had
Why were
discussions.
they cut in the first place?
Well, I've had discussions with the neighbors up there.
Okay,
The lilacs that were planted 10 years ago
yeah,
are coming in. There's a section of trees on the south side that the state has deemed invasive. And we were told to cut them down. I reached out to the neighbors and they said absolutely not. We couldn't touch them because if we touch them, we've got to take them down. So the neighbors got together and trimmed them and got rid of.
okay,
They were lilacs?
But no.
No, that was
they're-
different,
They're like
yeah.
a huckleberry
okay,
tree, but the state has put them on there invasive. And
okay.
but as far as that section there is no plan unless they're talking about further up, and I haven't been contacted by anybody.
Okay, all right.
Planning anything there.
And I have two long, and I made a copy for you, Marty, about,
Is that from Lisa?
your wife, yes,
Yeah.
Lisa Manning, yes, no. Someone who lives, on Lincoln Ave between Bank and Congress. It sounds like the street's narrow. People are parking on both sides of the street. It's really tricky to get through there. I'll give these to you, but they're wondering about a one-way street or like signs that say no parking this side of the street. Also sounds like there's a lot of water running off down the hill and there's no curbs on that street, so it's washing away their yards and the water's pooling on the sidewalk and things. Quite extensive.
I can look at it and see. The water issue is actually a resident that's got a sump pump that pumps out onto the lawn and wash it down over the street that we've had discussions with.
So if I'll give these two documents to you and maybe you can look at them and get back to me so I
Yep.
can reach out to the person who wants to remain anonymous.
And we can do no parking on this side of the street, you just have to tell me which side you'd like to do that
Yeah,
to.
it's in the document. Okay, and the last thing, someone mentioned wanting to explore having a sidewalk on Lemna Drive because there's a lot of foot traffic there.
As far as the Level 3 project.
Okay, great.
I brought that up to Chip a year ago, and they didn't want to spend money and then have it torn up. There's a-
Okay, so
There's a
okay,
waiting period for it,
great, that's it.
yeah. And good luck with those curbs, by the way.
I don't have curbs by my house. I'm happy about it. Okay,
Eric?
Just a few of them. South end of Barlow in the spring, one of your guys can get down and clip up where they clipped up last time. There's a bushes that hang over right at the end of where it meets Diamond.
On that fence?
Yeah, they're starting to stick over into the sidewalk again. I'm still working with some of the neighbors. I'm waiting to hear back from a couple on the speeders that go down Burnell and turn down Diamond, so I'm not moving forward with anything yet because I want to get more clarification on a couple things. I'm also trying to reach out to two of the neighbors that are at the intersection where we're thinking about suggesting the three-way stop to make sure that they would be as impacted since there already is a stop there, but see what their input is. And the last piece I had, and is more of a curiosity question, but also with regards to planning, the new construction going in on Upper Gilman, the 6, I believe, new homes that are going up. And I know it's a little too late for them, but what do we have in place? I know some areas have like requirements to put X amount of houses up by a developer, sidewalks have to go in, curbs have to go in, they have to contribute towards that. That Upper Gilman has no sidewalks and no curbs, and people do use it fast to get up to Lincoln. So people walk on the road a lot. 2 of the neighbors told me that they see people walking all the time up and down the road. And they asked about sidewalks on one or both sides of Gilman. The houses are set back pretty far on one side, and it would meet up with a sidewalk in Lincoln, but anticipating what that looks like for future budgets, but also can we look at planning and how that rules are set up on new developments.
The city's been so built out with sidewalks throughout its history that we've never had a zoning requirement to build them for developments.
It's an Act 250 thing, ironically.
I think there's 7 houses going in there, and
Yeah,
they're going to look really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we could take a look at putting some sidewalks in there. Eric and I emailed about this a little bit. This is one of those threads that's connected to a lot. You know, when we did our sidewalk program years ago, we focused on existing sidewalks. And there's a whole bunch of areas in the city where there's missing connections. And then as soon as you start talking sidewalks, you start talking curbs. Maybe this is a little differently situated because it's not new sidewalks in an old neighborhood. This is a new sidewalk in an emerging neighborhood. But there I think have to be some analysis of why here and why not all the other missing pieces. Or we say, yeah, we're gonna link up all the missing pieces.
Bigger plan over a lot
And then
of years.
we start with a study, and do we have the right of way? Most times, when you look at the reason there isn't a sidewalk there, you either had a hostile landowner or a tough grade, or both.
So to that point, on Upper Gilman, there is no catch basins on that street. So it's designed to let the water run off, whereas if you put curbs in, you would probably want to look at putting some storm drains in to catch that. Otherwise, you're going to dump all that water onto Main Street.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's one reason why we don't always require developers to do it, because it opens up a Pandora's box, and it really ought to be a city project, because it affects so many other things like utilities and other streets.
On that Upper Gilman, is that one developer or people building their own homes?
I think
That's
there's at least
one.
2. There's also Habitat on the other side, right?
Yeah, one developer on the south side is building 7, single family, and then Habitat is building a duplex on the north side.
Is that Carl?
Yeah.
It's not a crazy idea to think about putting some sidewalks in there, I just think.
Or at least on one side.
Yeah, I was thinking on the side.
I want that road a lot, and when it's dark and people do speed up it, especially with all the new homes, and
Yeah.
I think that probably would be a prime candidate for
Yeah.
Well, and I'd also be curious with the runoff piece, because that field was previously wide open, and the road did pitch both ways, both sides, but now with all those houses building up, is that changing that pitch now? Is that gonna push it more into the
It won't
outer?
pitch, it won't change the road, but that road will still drain off there to those.
So will that impact the neighbors down further now, where it's not gonna previously?
And there is a section of sidewalk on the north side that goes up to like the 3rd house, I think,
Right.
Yeah,
from Main Street, so
and it stops.
you would think if you're gonna do it, you would just continue that up, but you'd have
That's what I
to
was thinking.
look at right of ways.
On the north side, we looked at that, it's got that paved swale,
Yes.
that could be built over, I guess, possibly.
Because it goes right into that house, right?
And there's another lot there on that midsection that could be developed too, potentially.
Yeah, that was the last one I had, I appreciate it, I just wanted to bring those up because they brought it up with me, so.
Lindsay, do you have anything?
No, not really. Just thanks to our road crew for keeping things clear. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hope you feel better. Chad?
Yeah, Marty, thanks for getting that water off, the ice off the sidewalk on the bottom of Diamond Street. I fell down a couple times. And then the only other thing I got is the middle of winter, the rec department's got some things coming up. Winter carnival's coming up. Father-daughter, mother-son dance are coming up. And I know the father-daughter fills up quick, so buy your tickets, or else your wives are gonna be mad. Happens every year.
There's the date of the winter carnival, you know.
It's the,
Okay. Let's see what we got. Find that.
2/21.
February 21st, the start of school vacation.
Yep,
So,
I know that date.
all right,
Motion to approve the meeting minutes, 12/8/25.
I'll second
thanks,
it.
Jen. Seconded by Trudy. All those, any amendment changes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve warrant, 12/31/25.
Second.
Any questions, comments on the warrant? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Warrant's approved. Entertain a motion which specifies that we are adjourning 1 hour and 15 minutes beyond schedule, or before schedule.
Sets a pretty high bar, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, he does. I'll make a motion to adjourn very early.
Thank you, Judy. One last thing I'd just like to point out is I begin to work with Trudy if she gets elected on proper attire at board meetings. And she's picking up on it, it's working.
Called him up. I'm waiting for my St. Albans City jacket.
Look out.
By the end of the month.
Okay, that was a nice
Okay.
treat. Thanks,
Yeah.
That deadline passed.
It did, but I'm sure, Tim, if you really wanted something, we could figure it out.
Thought about it.
Get you a used hoodie out of VW.